It's imperative that on this journey, you learn how to utilize and cultivate your own inner power, your own inner strength. Because as somebody who is maybe a highly sensitive person, somebody who is, in fact, 20% of our entire population, our entire collective, you experience things on such a high level of intensity that it often appears to be a burden, even a curse. But when you recognize that this is actually a gift, it's actually a talent, then you realize that, okay, how do you make this experience of feeling as if it's a curse toward you feeling and understanding that it's a gift, that it's a talent? How do you cultivate this sense of inner power and identifying with the truth as to what it means to be a highly sensitive person? And what I want to share with you is the importance of recognizing how to build emotional resilience. Because as we understand, emotions are the fuel of life, right? Emotions get you going. Emotions are energy in motion. So when you understand the importance of your emotions, you recognize that, okay, the key to cultivating this inner strength within you is about learning how to manage your emotions, learning how to understand them, learning how to use them to propel you forward in aligning yourself with your truest essence and ultimately your true purpose. And so as you go down this journey, I want you to understand that the process is not something that's going to immediately just make sense for you, right? Because it's about experience. It's about going through the journey. And as you go through the journey, the unfoldment, the unraveling happens, right? The self-realization happens. And so every time you experience, though, an emotion, especially the emotions that don't feel so well, the emotions that we tend to want to avoid, those emotions will give you the most insight. And so what I really want you to understand is it is those emotions, it is the things that we often want to avoid that we must surrender the most to. Okay. So remember this, it is about surrendering to the emotion, not avoiding the emotion. Because when we surrender to the emotion, this is not coming from a place of weakness. This is simply coming from a place of acceptance, acknowledging the emotions. So you really want to acknowledge the emotion, not avoid it. Because at least by acknowledging the emotion, it allows you to recognize that this is a either trigger or it is something that's giving you insight into your purpose, insight into leading you along the path, right? It is acting as your guide. And so with that, you have to ask yourself maybe one or two questions. Am I triggered by this? Is this emotion that I'm experiencing that doesn't feel great? Is it in fact triggering a belief system, a limiting belief system, or some past trauma that I went through? Or if it's not doing that, then is it trying to simply tell me something as far as how I am to move forward right now in this moment, right? Or with something that you're thinking about, okay? And you haven't quite decided how you're going to move forward in life or in this decision. So your job is to recognize what it is that you're feeling, what it is that you're thinking. It always comes down to self-awareness. Practicing self-awareness is absolute. Okay, it is imperative. It is a must. And the more you practice this self-awareness from moment to moment, the more you gain insight as to what's going on within you. If you're not really taking into account what's going on, then you're not going to have the insight and the information and the wisdom to move forward in a productive way, right? Hence, move forward in a way that aligns with your desire and what you want and your personal fulfillment and happiness. So your job is to really take into account fortifying this resilience of understanding your emotions. The resilience is really identifying and it really comes into play with the negative emotions because the easy emotions, the positive emotions, those are easy, right? That's easy to take in. It's easy to experience. It's easy to feel. Yes, we still can practice identifying what it means to have these emotions, what caused the trigger of that emotion, maybe even where is that emotion trying to get you? Where is it getting you? Because you can be somebody who is either moved and inspired, motivated by positivity or negativity. So sometimes you have to understand that sometimes some people just need to be moved from a positive space. Me, I function from positivity. So I have to be constantly in a positive state in order for me to move forward in the most productive way possible. So positive emotions is what helps me. When I am experiencing negative emotions, it usually slows me down or stops me for a moment. So I have to switch. I have to identify those emotions right away, and I have to figure out what's going on in order for me to switch that mode, right? Switch from negative to positive in order for me to continue moving forward. But there are many people who are very militant in nature and they move better when it comes to identifying those negative or being inspired or motivated by those negative emotions. And so it's important to understand, okay, which one gets you going? Now, it's very important to recognize that even if you are somebody who gets going with the negative emotions, keeping those negative emotions will not be sustainable for you. So you have to still learn to transition your mode, right, of action from negative fuel to positive fuel, right? It's like going from diesel to regular. You know what I mean? Like some cars, you can't put a diesel fuel into a regular car. Okay. So you have to be mindful about the fuel that you're using. Because if you keep using a certain fuel that's not compatible with you, then you're going to break down. Okay. Then you're going to have some problems. So you have to identify which works best for you. But this is really about understanding how to identify the emotions in general, how to use these emotions, how to understand how they actually will help and support you, only by recognizing that it's either causing you to be triggered by something that you need to heal from, right? You need to communicate with your inner child. You have to do some shadow work to get through, or you have to recognize that your consciousness is guiding you from a place of positivity. Like, okay, in this area, we are complete, we are healed, we're good. Let's move forward. Let's feel good about it. You see? So your job is to really identify and build that power and resilience by recognizing the importance of your emotions. So what you need to do when you think about your emotions and you think about, not so much avoiding, but acknowledging, right? You get into the feeling of it and then you move with that feeling, right? You get into the feeling of understanding, hey, I am in a space where this feeling, right, is frustrating to me, is annoying to me, it pisses me off. And so therefore, boom, I make the breakthrough. And then you have to change and transform that feeling to one of positivity, of gratitude as to the transformation that you've made, right? The change that you've made, and thus be in a space of gratitude and being happy about where you're at now and where you're continuing to go, right? The momentum you're continuing to build. So that's very important. Now, when you are making this transition, we talked a little bit about guilt when setting up boundaries, but you need to be mindful about things like judgment, things like failure and rejection when you're a highly sensitive person, because as you are experiencing certain things and you're making connections with certain people and you are going through this understanding of how you relate to everything else, right? You have to understand that a failure isn't a failure. It is just an opportunity, right? Rejection isn't rejection. It's just simply not being in alignment. Okay. And judgment, there's really no such thing as judgment, right? Only you are the judge. Only you get to judge, basically come to a conclusion as to what matches and resonates with you and what doesn't. You see? So when you're dealing with the outside world and you're dealing with other people, oftentimes as a highly sensitive person, you are receiving those things in, you are taking those things in, as if they are a, you know, as if they basically tell you a story about yourself, and they don't. You're receiving that in as if people feel that way about you, or they don't feel a way about you, or they feel negatively about you. You are taking that in from a place of insecurity because you're not aware and able to actually, master or use this talent that you have. So your job though is to recognize that all the things coming to you are not really reflections of you. Okay. What it is a reflection of your inability at current moment to master and use your talent appropriately. But the things that you are perceiving or thinking or assuming aren't really thoughts and feelings and things of that nature from other people or from the universe. Because a lot of times when people are highly sensitive, they feel overwhelmed because they think that the universe is kind of weighing them down. It's like the world is on your shoulders, literally. And so you feel weighted, you feel overwhelmed. But that is because you haven't been in practice and you don't understand the gift. You see? So recognizing that as you go into a space of simply just understanding, okay, there is something I have to learn here. This is a process that will alleviate the weight, that will alleviate you feeling judgment, you feeling like maybe you're weird because you think people are picking up on what you're going through when people have no clue, right? They have no clue. They're living their reality, they're living their world. And even those who may have a clue, why should you care, right? You shouldn't care less about what it is that they're experiencing and thinking of you, because you have to actually go through the work of understanding and recognizing your history, your process, your consciousness, your ego, all these different aspects of who you are. So adding them to the mix is not serving you. Okay. So, and then when it comes to failure, feeling like, oh, okay, this everything that I am perceiving and receiving is maybe comparisons to other people and their success, and feeling like you're not successful and you need to, you're failing or you're a failure, right? When in fact, failure is the thing that is going to lead you to your success. Meaning, the more mistakes you make, the more action you take, the more you learn, and the more you become an expert in whatever it is that you want to do. The more you become and more likely to become successful in whatever it is you wish to achieve, manifest, or materialize. So you have to understand that failure isn't a thing unless you simply just quit. Okay. And if you are really dialed into consciousness and purpose, there is no quitting, because the thing that you are moved to do is what you're meant to do. And there is no escaping that. You just simply have to be in alignment and acceptance of that, and then just move forward in life. The universe will eventually, now it may seem like the universe is weighing you down and holding you in place, but ultimately the universe is actually is really like caressing you and hugging you, you see? And then you have to just simply start moving, and then the universe will loosen up, right? From your perspective, the universe will loosen up and simply follow your lead and go with your guidance, with your consciousness. Once you have decided and you're clear as to what it is you're here to do, and you're simply doing it. Now, on the topic of intuition, on the topic of manifestation, what's important for you to understand is when tapping into this gift, this power, when tapping into intuition, right? Knowing, okay, what is this that I'm feeling? What I like to do is connect it with the thing that you desire, right? What is it that you really desire, like right now, for your life in general? Like, what is it that really drives you? Like, what is your why? Okay. And then what I want you to do is think about achieving that thing. Okay. This will help you when it comes to making decisions in alignment with that which you desire, because there's opportunities everywhere. There are infinite opportunities. So never feel like you're going to make a bad decision. But you want to be able to identify what decision is in alignment with that which you desire and who you are. So ultimately, what you want to do is practice a technique called dimensional visualization. It's really visualization, but it's going deep into you understanding the concept of visualization. So what you're going to do is you're going to say you have two options, right? You have maybe the option to do something or the option to not do something when there's an opportunity that you see, or even there's a situation that you're in. What you want to do is simply visualize yourself deciding this one, deciding option A, deciding option B, maybe deciding option C. Visualize yourself making a decision. Allow your imagination to lead you toward what happens after you make that decision. Now, what you're doing, make sure that you are in a space that, you're calm, you have your emotions in check, you're feeling peaceful. It's almost like a meditative state. All right. Now, what you're doing when you are visualizing each of these options and you are visualizing the possible result of those options, you are tapping into different dimensions of reality where you have actually chosen that option. And now remember, there is no wrong answers here. So what you want to do though, is you want to simply make a choice as to which dimension you're going to align yourself with. You see, you're going to simply just meditate and just imagine and visualize yourself making the decision to do point or, option A. Then it's going to lead you down a space of imagining what that looks like. Then you're going to let that go. Then you're going to imagine option B. You're going to let that lead you. Okay. Now, still, option A, B, and C could still lead you to infinite, forks in the road, right? But trust your imagination and just play with it. Have fun with it. And then simply make the decision. Now, when you make the decision, recognize again the importance of seeing only opportunities in what happens and what's happening, because that is going to result in you continuing the momentum of positivity and productivity, right? Which ultimately leads to the manifestation and the materialization of that, your desire. So don't get focused in, because what a lot of people do is they make a decision fearing that they made the wrong decision, which does what? That ultimately puts in your mind that you have made the wrong decision. So never make a decision fearing that you made the wrong decision, because what will constantly stick in your mind is making the wrong decision. You see, so everything else that will result in that decision will look like and appear to be the wrong decision, meaning that everything will look wrong, everything will feel bad, things will go wrong, it won't feel ideal. But if you make that decision, not concerned about a wrong decision, but only concerned with simply, this is the decision I'm making, let's move on, let's keep it going. Clear in your mind that the idea, the desire, is already materialized and manifested in your mind. So it doesn't matter which decision you make, as long as you make a decision and as long as you take action. So using this technique will help you to tap into your intuition, okay? And then allow you to simply move faster, because a lot of times when there are opportunities, people hesitate, people procrastinate, overthink, right? That is a part of, self-sabotage. That is a part of our inability to really just line up and just take action and trust in our ability to create any reality that we want. You just simply have to align with that frequency of that reality. So your job is to essentially imagine and trust. When you imagine, trust, and take action, then eventually, trust me, the manifestation of your thing, your desire, is right there before you, and it'll happen. You just have to simply trust yourself. Thank you so much. Feel free to go to drabundant.com, subscribe to my daily newsletter, and get access to this free ebook and so much more. Continue to join me on this journey. Peace and abundance always.